Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Newton Classroom Podcast. Stay tuned.
So thank you, Rajiv sir, for joining me here today. And it's a pleasure to have somebody like you who is, an IIT grad, went on to being an educator. जाने के बाद, when you graduate, like you yourself also mentioned in the talk yesterday, I was listening to it, that many people want to go and do work for different companies, big companies, but somebody who is spending time shaping the future generations, it's really commendable, sir.
Thank you so much. I mean, as I said yesterday, uh, in our convocation, it was told to us that, don't be job seekers, be job creators. Right. And my father had a big role to play in this. So he always used to tell me, whatever you'll do well. So there was a lot of confidence that was instilled right from my childhood that I should do whatever I want to do. So a combination of these factors and a fortunate incident that happened way back 15 years back when I was doing a workshop for parents and students. There I realized that there's a lot of gap in the education system. So I quit my job on the day I got a promotion. So I was working in Bombay. And and I didn't tell my parents that I'm going to quit my job. My father had just given me one piece of advice that first, एक साल नौकरी कर लो, do a job for a year, understand how things are run, and after that I give you the liberty to do whatever. And my mom, being a Bengali mom, so there is this general thing, cultural thing that where she said, do a job, it's safe, it's paying well, and who leaves Bombay to come back to Calcutta? That's the kind of a thing. So she was highly surprised and sad initially that I left my job. But then, 15 years down the line, it's been a very good journey, I would say. A lot of impact, thousands and lakhs of students impacted, teachers impacted, and that's what you are there for, right? In your life, you want to create some good stuff. So that's the thing.
That's amazing. And you went on to actually initiate like couple of companies is what I know of, right? So would you please talk about the entrepreneurial journey, the one that I'm really interested in, because that I also set out on my own journey. So I would definitely love to listen, because this is wisdom and it could save definitely 2-3 years of my life.
I know it's said, right? If you want to get real distilled knowledge, talk to someone instead of reading a book, right? So I know it's, so I do a lot of mentoring for young entrepreneurs because, we make a lot of mistakes, and I love mistakes. And, the CEO of NVIDIA, he's talking about Jensen Huang. He talks about that we should all go through a lot of distress and tough times, because that is what really gives you the learning, right? So when you ask me about the initiatives, I think each initiative has been born because of a lot of mistakes that have been made. And these mistakes are like the scar tissue that you have, which help you to, progress, move forward. So when we started, I never had in my wildest of dreams thought that I would become a teacher. Okay. I always thought of building a product or a platform. And then, events happened and I ended up teaching. And when I started teaching, not only did I figure that I'm good at it, because my students were loving me, they were doing well. But gradually what happened is I was teaching for 40 to 50 hours in the first 3-4 years per week. And gradually I felt that, if I wanted to create impact on not just few hundred students every year, because I was teaching some 500, 600 students directly at that time. So one batch after the other. Gradually it dawned upon me two things. One is this is causing me a burnout now, because you're constantly teaching. And then I figured that if I have to suppose amplify this effect to millions of students across India and maybe across the world, then I need to change something. So from there, my first company, EduDime, that was transformed into more of, self-paced learning courses. Then we got into we wanted to do teaching and learning in a more fun way. So we brought in some hands-on learning kits. Then we got into, and a lot of it was driven by my thirst for more learning and knowledge. So then I jumped into AI. And this is before AI became popular. So this is 6 years, 7 years back. So we started a platform called AI for Schools. So that is where we wanted to teach students AI through games. That they would play games and then they would learn AI. And of course, we figured that one of the best tools or methods of impacting education is through teachers. So I started this Mentors First company, and till date it has impacted 10,000 teachers across 100 plus schools. So what happens is when you're training one teacher, you are impacting more than 100 students because each teacher, so 10,000 multiplied by 100. So that's the kind of amplification that you can do. So the journey is basically, and it'll go on. So I'm here to play an infinite game. There is nothing like we are bootstrapped. So all our initiatives, whether it is in STEM learning, competitive exams, or teacher training, we have been profitable, and we are, doing this on our own terms, not driven by any targets of 10%, 20% growth on a month-on-month basis. The one thing that only drives us is that we want to reach as many number of learners, irrespective of their financial position. So we want to reach out to students in not only urban areas, but also in the most deprived rural areas. And technology teachers, they're all helping us do that. So
That's commendable. I mean, now I'm just thinking about the numbers that you just small calculation that you mentioned. It's crazy. I mean, it's just, I mean, the zeros are just going right. It's insane. And also, I would like to talk about the switch that you had from a corporate office to starting your own. And at a time, not now, like today, people have a lot of resources to listen to talk about, to reach out to. But at that point, when you started, I don't think there were many resources.
brilliant question, because now when I look at it in 2009, when I started this whole journey, startup was not cool. The concept of funding was not there. I mean, in the last 5-10 years, this thing has become cool, at least in India, and with Shark Tank and all coming in, people are not saying that, startups karte hain. So I think at that time it was, so what happens is something that happens with when we get out of a good college and we get good education along with support from your parents and you have a good support system. I have never put a very high premium on failure. So the best way to learn, apart from theory and books and videos, is you have to go and try it out. Unless you try something out, you never know how it will pan out, right? You might do all it's like swimming. You can't learn swimming by watching videos. You have to go put yourself in the water. So so it's been a journey where at that time also the idea was that let's try things out, and the approach was always that we want to do good things. And obviously, what we are planning, things will not exactly pan out like that. Because in the real world, there are so many things which you don't factor in. But the idea was always that whatever is not working out, learn from it, learn from the mistakes, and then try to do better. So keep repeating, iterating till you figure out stuff. So
That's interesting. That's interesting because I think when you were mentioning, I was listening to also your talks before this, and you also mentioned the spectrum framework. So somewhere I see that your attitude in entrepreneurial journey trickles down to what you're teaching the students also. And if I remember it correctly, I've made notes also for that. So explore, enjoy, enhance, and excel. I somehow feel that there is a connection to it, right?
So, yeah, I mean, like you're talking about, you are into design. Yeah. And I believe every startup, every product, learning journeys, these are all, if you want to succeed in them, you have to be good at design. Now, design, as you know, is not just about animations and drawing something. Design is experience. Design is how do you anticipate emotions, and it's design at the end of the day for me is about keeping the user at the center of it. So user centered. So we talk about learner centric, doing everything keeping the learner at the center of it. So when you look at this 4 E's methodology, so right from the very beginning, I felt that for us to teach anyone anything, you have to ensure that they are going through a journey by which they get self motivated. And I learned about this saying very early, where a good teacher is one who becomes useless after some time, who is not needed after some time. So that means you have to create a learning journey where the user or the learner himself or herself is on the path, and you don't need to push them anymore. It's like when you learn how to ride a bicycle. Initially, your father or whosoever is teaching you is there, and you are like, okay, fine. And then very soon you are on the journey, and you see that there is no support needed. That's the role of a teacher. So when you look at the 4E framework, the explore part essentially talks about getting the student or the learner to not only explore themselves. Who am I? What are my interests? What do I like? They also require the learner to explore the world. What are the problems of the world? Because we are talking about helping students become the problem solvers, right? So this is that exploratory phase where they get excited about the topic or whatever they are getting into. Then comes enjoy. So that's one more step deeper. You can never learn anything if you don't enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Right? There are no good or bad subjects.
Right.
It's only the subjects that you enjoy. When you do something you really, and you know this, right? Since you're a creator, so you have to really enjoy the process.
Right.
The third part is that as you keep enjoying the process, then comes the skills and competencies. Then you start figuring out that these are the finer things that I need to hone.
Right.
And then I will become a better designer, better at a given subject or anything that we are doing, right?
Yes.
And once you have honed your skills, which is once you've enhanced them, then there must be a place through which you are able to measure and get validation, recognition, the yardstick. So that is where in schooling system it could be exams or competitions or Olympiads. In case of an entrepreneur, it could be an award.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be revenue.
Yes.
Because you need to finally show it in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
So this is the entire journey, and this is a framework that I now teach teachers also, that you first focus on explore, then go to enjoy, then let them enhance, and finally focus on exams.
Nice.
So the pyramid being, don't focus on exams first, go from explore, enjoy, enhance, then exams. If you follow this, exams will take care of themselves. I mean, as an entrepreneur,
Yes.
if you do this, then your results will automatically take care of themselves. So that's
Absolutely, and that's actually beautifully put, because it covers every single thing, and also the takes into account the overall development of the student, not only just for the academics and just for the numbers that we all talk about.
So the approach is very important. Where do you start? What's your primary motivation? The primary motivation has to be to enjoy and to explore. Then everything else follows after that. And not the current methods where we are focusing on exams. So you want to study because you have to do well in exams. That never motivates in the long run. So yeah. So I just want to add there, whatever we are doing for a student, since you said about the startup journey, for entrepreneurs also, you should never start up because you want to make money. You want to do a startup because you want to build a product or a service which you truly love, and it will add value to people's lives. If you take care of that, revenue, fame, everything will follow. So that's the... Yeah.
That's nice. So talking about enjoying the whole process, now I want to bring up a very interesting question here that I also faced when I was in school. So I used to hate chemistry.
Oh, that's my favorite subject.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Did I walk into a trap here? So I didn't like chemistry. And for the longest of time, I couldn't understand. And engineering my first year, it was such a big task to even clear that exam. So enjoying, the aspect of enjoying, can students enjoy is it really possible to enjoy? Because there are subjects that people don't like. So how to go about it?
So you don't like a subject, it's not because the subject is bad. It's because the teachers you had, they were not really able to excite or ignite that curiosity. It's not your fault. It is never the student's fault. It is always the other factors. I mean, mostly the teachers. It's a teacher who can ignite that curiosity. So for me, my love for chemistry was there because of my teacher. So I had a teacher in class 11 who, when I used to go to him, he would give me 4 or 5 books from his library. And he used to ask me to read a given topic from those 4 or 5 books. After an hour, he would come back with a cup of tea in his hand and then tell me, now ask me questions. And then for the next 1 hour or so, we would just engage in a conversation where we would ask each other questions. So if I asked a question, he would ask me another question. And it would never be a yes, no, right, wrong. It would just be figuring things out, possibilities. So you are not studying a subject on the basis of facts. You are studying it because of logic, because there is beauty in that and you're connecting it. So that's how I learned and loved chemistry. And I always say chemistry was my first love. So, that's how. So it's actually that about any subject. I say that, love is time. It's a very deep statement. Love is time. Whatever you spend time with, you will fall in love with it. Because there is beauty in everything. So very often what happens is that, students don't love a given subject. Or in your case, for example, you didn't like chemistry. So if I gave you a choice that between chemistry and which is your favorite subject? Design, let's say. Design. So between chemistry and design, tomorrow morning, which one will you do first? Design, right? Of course, yes. Right? So the thing is that in order for you to suppose you still want to improve chemistry. So I use this concept of frog on the plate. Okay. So chemistry is the frog on your plate. Okay. So according to this author, who said that if I ate a frog every day early in the morning, nothing worse can happen to me throughout the day. Okay? That's a good concept. Yeah. So that's the concept of eat that frog. So if you are not good at something and you want to improve that, then you do that first thing in the day. And don't keep it for the last, because that last will never come, because you will always want to do the things that you enjoy. And so you're spending more and more time, you will fall more and more in love with that. So the strategy of basically improving that subject is do it first and then go to the other things. So I'll give you an example of an analogy with food. So you look at any cuisine in India, there are multiple courses, multiple things that are given to you on a plate, right? Ek thali. Yes. So let me talk about Bengali cuisine, because from Calcutta. So you are first given the most bitter things to have, like neem patta, ya karela, right? Bitter gourd. You have those things first, and then you go to dal, sabji, fish, and at the end you have the dessert. You understand this now? Everyone wants to have dessert. But when you have the bitter things first, if you even drink water after that, water tastes sweet. So that's the concept. Do the tough things, hard things first, and then you go to this applies for entrepreneurship also. Sometimes you don't feel like doing those sales calls because the sales call is a tough thing, or convincing someone, and you would prefer, let's say, why not make another design? So do that sales call first, because that's the frog on your plate. Get those things, and then you will obviously go to the things that you enjoy. So that's one of the ways.
Chalo, at least I don't have to get back to chemistry now. I'm past that now. but that's a very interesting concept, and I think it's quite effective as well, doing that. So one last question before we end the podcast today is that when we're talking about digital revolution that's happening, bombarded with technology, interfaces, and the effects of that on children, students, reduced attention spans, and also parents worried about students using interfaces or digital devices. So what do you think the future of learning would look like?
Oh, that's a $1 million question, and if I knew the answer, then but I'll try. I'll try. I mean, you see, right now when you're talking about interfaces, you are primarily referring to the mobile interface, and based on what I have seen in terms of technology developments, I think the mobile interface is also going to go away in a few years. It's all going to be mostly voice enabled, and so instead of focusing on interfaces, let's focus on these technologies and the social media. So when you talk about design, so I'm sure you know that these Instagrams, Facebooks of the world, they have been designed to hook us onto them. You know, the infinite scroll and all these things. They want you to spend more time so that they can get to know you better. More time you spend, better ads, revenue, and all that. So the idea is that technology overall is not bad. Digital technologies in particular, they are, I think, a wonderful source to learn more things, to connect with like-minded people. As you said, you have a community of designers. These are great things that people can do today, which we couldn't do even 5 years back. So I think learning is not confined to books and classrooms and schools. I mean, learning happens 24/7. So yes, it is highly possible. Learning is a very it's a journey of growth, and a growth never stops. The moment you stop learning, then your growth stops. So for the students of today, it is very important to realize that in a fast changing world with trends coming and going, and uh, jobs, we don't know which jobs will be there 5 years down the line. Right. It's important for them to have this mindset of learn, unlearn, relearn. Right. And the anyone who has that attitude that I can learn new things, they are going to not only survive in this 21st century driven by technology, they are going to do exceptionally well in that. And some years down the line, the 9 to 5 concept of job will also not be there. It is going to be communities, it is going to be doing multiple projects, not only in a single domain, but multiple domains. So I believe that for any student, any one of us who is a continuous learner, there could be no less exciting times than these. So.
This is beautifully answered. I think we always tend to focus on the negative side, but I think the positive aspect of it is so bright. I mean, the way you present it, and also I think it comes down to the parents as well, the students as well, to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Such a beautiful thing that you've said that. And thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for sharing your views.
It was a delight and a pleasure, and I love the questions that you've curated. So thank you. Well researched. Thank you so much.
Changing anything is challenging, but when you start anything new, there's always a lot of resistance. They're very, oh my God, technology is here, and now what do we do with it? Learning can happen outside of education. But education necessarily has to have learning, as the brain is constantly learning without the structure or with the structure in place. But what I do say to them is, if social media existed when Gandhiji was alive, what would the Salt March campaign strategy have been? You're actually curiosity and excitement architects.